Hello, welcome back again to our continued look at grappling, or at least standing grappling as we call it, grappling whilst we're in a boxing situation. So what I want to look at this week is really 3 tricks that I picked up from a man called Tommy Moore, who, if you do not know who he is and you're watching this, go and watch all of his stuff. Very good quality martial arts and very realistic and good application. So we're going to look at a few things of his that fits very well into this this situation, or at least I learned them from him. Whether people probably learned them from somewhere else, that's how martial arts works. But I wanted to share these because they're very useful in that kind of clinch situation. The first one to realise is if we end up in a clinch in whatever way here, I can deliver a punch. Now if I deliver a punch here, I don't really have a lot of force. My hand's moving about a foot, I can make contact, but there's no real connection there that's going to do more than piss him off, yeah? Especially somebody inside. He's just going to bite my ear off, right? But what I can do is if I'm thinking about making impact there, I'm not thinking about how I'm using my body. So I want to push my hips through, so instead of my punch being here, my punch is actually here and through to here, and that has a significant impact upon your structure. So I've got to be aware that just because that's where the head is, and like that's nothing, I can actually still put my full hip in things. Equally, here, although I admit you can't see it, if I turn you around, my forearm is literally on my opponent. There is no striking range here. But if I push this hip forward, I can still deliver momentum. And I think a lot of the time, once people get into grappling, they get into the clinch here, and that's it. And it's like, oh, my hip stays square because if I turn it too much, I'm going to get thrown. But actually, if I do it at the right time, boom, I can actually get in quite a considerable hook, even though I'm in close. And that's something that's worth bearing in mind, is having a look at those opportunities where you can punch, but punch through your target to actually have the effect, whereas just punching to the target isn't going to do you any good. Second one is what I call asymmetric grabs. A lot of grappling works from the assumption that I'm going to have a hand either side of the head, and my opponent's going to have a hand either side of the head in this kind of symmetrical situation, which is true a lot of the time, because the other person's also trying to fight to get a good position. But if I can, one option that I might want to try and do is actually get my hand across the body on this kind of asymmetric grab here. And the advantage of that is that I can now control the far side of the body with my elbow. Yeah, you can't really throw a decent punch there, and even if he does try to throw something, I can always just slam my forearm into his throat. And that's quite interrupting to anything you want to do. Yeah, meanwhile this hand isn't doing anything. Yeah, and if I can move in and catch that here, it's still not doing anything. Here, I've got little hooks that are not going to do much, but again, if I put my hip into that, I can actually deliver, boom, a really annoying hit. And then anytime he tries to do anything with the other side, just bash him here. And anytime I want, I can drag around to the back of the neck, back into my asymmetric grab, punch him in the kidneys, drag him around. I've got quite a lot of control with my opponent still, and he's got a lot less to work with. So this asymmetric grab works quite well. Also, it gives me the opportunity, if I want to just end this, I can cup the elbow, push through, and move away, and I can be out of grappling range quite quickly with a kind of pull through. So another one that's worth bearing in mind. The last one I want to cover is affectionately known as the unstoppable elbows, which is if my opponent grabs me in whatever way, all I've got to do is provide a space where it's more painful for him to stay in than it is to move away. Yeah? So here, you definitely have the advantage. You can impose in with me with your head, with your feet, whatever. What I'm going to do is grab both hands, and then I just start swinging my elbows through this central space. Now you have a choice now, and you didn't want to move forward, because elbows hurt. And also, very quickly, you start to lose grip. If you grab again, because as I'm coming over here, I'm pulling this hand with me, it's getting jammed out the way. So it's loosening the grip, and then I'm going the other way, and then back again. And very quickly, my opponent is on the back foot defending, rather than coming in to headbutt me. So it's quite a nice little tactic. Grabs comes in, and I can go straight into that, and it's really annoying to deal with. Obviously, if somebody does that to you, so if I go into grab, I can defeat that by throwing my own elbows out faster than he can. But that gets a bit violent, and it is just who can take the most punishment. But just a nice little one to be aware of, even if you take it away from the full elbows, if somebody grabs and I go here, this across the face already is deterring him from actually throwing anything else in here, and from here this hand can unwrap, and now I'm in my asymmetric grab. Yeah? So it's quite a nice little bit of thing to be aware of, that I can actually use these different kind of grapples as well as some strikes. So there's no real how this fits in, just a few things to bear in mind and try and throw into your own training when you get the opportunity. So that's about enough for today. We'll catch up with you next week. Until then, have a good week.